Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm reviewing Sinister, and Walmart has several of these Steelbooks right now that you can purchase. I wanted to make a video reviewing Sinister because I was really on the fence as to whether or not this would be worth a blind buy, and it kind of looked like a middle-of-the-road horror movie. Would I regret purchasing it? That kind of thing. And I can tell you that having seen it, my honest opinion is this is going to be about a once-a-year watch for me, probably every year around Halloween. I enjoyed the film, and I think it's actually pretty good despite some noticeable, pretty bad flaws. Let's just start off by saying Ethan Hawke is so entertaining in this. So he is this like writer-detective hybrid who likes to go to houses that have a sordid history and put together clues from old crime scenes or old tall tales or fables, maybe true, maybe not. And he writes about these stories. He's chasing an old novel that was very successful called Kentucky Blood at the expense of alienating his family, including a couple of kids and his wife. And so some of the drama centers around how he gets so obsessed with digging and uncovering the truth that he neglects them. This sounds much worse than it is, I promise. It's a good one. Of all the Walmart Steelbooks, like this seemed like the one, that might be reasonable. And when I was watching this, I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it was. I was expecting it to be kind of a muddled mess that didn't add up logically. And it has plot holes. It has illogical moments. It has some really some of the screenplay is sort of written at a lower college level at times. But listen, Ethan Hawke can sell anything. I'm really convinced of this because there are lines that he delivers in here that should fall flat and just make you cringe that he makes funny. Like you can tell he's thinking in his head as he's saying the line that if I do the inflection this way and if I live it and if I breathe it, I can give life to a badly written piece of dialogue, and he does that. And that's kind of the negative part of the movie. Some people say that the movie undercuts itself with how it winds up and how the plot moves along. I don't really think so. I mean, to a certain extent, any movie that deals with the territory this goes into is going to have to be a little bit unrealistic, okay? But I did want to talk about, with that all aside, what I really did like about the movie. It's a pretty good-looking movie. The cinematography is genuinely kind of impressive at times, especially when you see light pour into a home, or there are some scenes in the attic that, when he goes up there, that do a pretty good job with light and shadow and so forth. And when he's watching these old Super 8 movies to get clues about some of the crime scenes, that is fun to watch. That is exactly what some number of movie watchers want. So picture this, right? Maybe you don't love the whole movie. Maybe you think it's a dumb horror movie, but imagine Ethan Hawke, who we know is this great film star. He did these wonderful Before trilogy movies, and he's just sitting down and he's got his whiskey and he's watching these old creepy Super 8 movies that have some scary things going on. Don't want to spoil there. I mean, that's like Shakespeare, right? The play within the play. I mean, it actually is. I'm not kidding. It's Shakespeare. It's play within a play. It's pretty good. It's pretty convincing from an imagery standpoint. There are a lot of horror movies that could use a cue or two that Sinister sends out. Use visual storytelling. It matters more than anything else. And having a compelling star, I mean, for the weaknesses of the movie, those things work really well. Additionally, the police are pretty entertaining, especially one cop that kind of follows him around like a very lost puppy. And there is a twist element to this movie. And I will tell you, I am not the biggest twister. I don't love twists in movies, and I really don't like watching a movie trying to figure out all the little twists and turns. A movie like Double Indemnity uses twists well, and I think this one mostly does. I mean, there's something set up in here that, as it pays off, it feels like you're watching a scary movie, and it does feel contrived to a point, but it's kind of fun to go along with. And visually it pays off, and there are a few little pieces of foreshadowing visually that I think are well incorporated, with the exception of this thing with the sun having night terrors. That never really pays off. But it does provide some good scary moments, and this movie is scary in parts, I think so anyway. Good jump scares, or a few good jump scares. I think the jump scares are well timed, much like Skinamarink, which a lot of people don't like, a lot of people do, that has a few good payoffs in terms of jump scares. Those are there. So if you're like me and you're someone who can appreciate a range of horror movies, maybe you don't like the really like the worst ones, but those middle of the road ones that kind of land in that like 50 to 60% Rotten Tomato territory, I know that those numbers don't mean a lot, but I'm saying like the traditional middle of the road horror movie, you might want to pick this up, and it is an awesome looking steelbook. We have to leave here now. If you like those Friday the 13th steelbooks, you'll probably enjoy this. So yeah, I like it. Not a perfect movie. If we're talking numbers here, I'm at about 3.5 stars on Letterboxd out of 5. Maybe 3 would be more appropriate, but it's a fine movie. Check it out. All right, so if you like the content here, if you'd like me to review more horror movies or talk more about them, let me know in the comments below. This is my first Halloween season since I've had this channel. I started it a few months ago, so it's really fun to kind of dig into this sort of territory as the leaves start falling and so forth. All right, try to hit that like button for me if you are enjoying the content. Love hearing from you, and we'll see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.